Okay, so have you heard of the Finding the Money film?
I haven't.
So Finding the Money is a film. I think it's an independent documentary. I have it pulled up here. Stephanie Kelton, and she follows. So let me just back up and say. So Finding the Money was put on by Stephanie Kelton, and it follows her on a journey through what is modern money theory, or MMT, and she's on a journey to unveil the deeper story about money, injecting new hope and empowering democracies around the world to tackle the biggest challenges of the 21st century. And chief among them, to her, climate change and inequality, right? But there's a clip from this documentary that is going viral over the weekend, and it's because of a gentleman by the name of Jared Bernstein, who's the chair of the Council of Economic Advisors. Now, if you don't know, if you guys are listening and you're like, what's the Council of Economic Advisors? Well, according to whitehouse.gov, the Council of Economic Advisors is an agency within the executive office of the president, and it is charged with providing the president objective economic advice on the formation of both domestic and international economic policy. So, the chair of this economic advisory board office committee had the following to say in the Finding the Money film.
The U.S. government can't go bankrupt because we can print our own money.
It obviously begs the question, why exactly are we borrowing in a currency that we print ourselves? I'm waiting for someone to stand up and say, why do we borrow our own currency in the first place?
Like you said, they print the dollar. So why does the government even borrow?
Well, again, some of this stuff gets, some of the language that some of the language and concepts are just confusing. I mean, the government definitely prints money, and it definitely lends that money, which is why the government definitely prints money, and then it lends that money by selling bonds. Is that what they do?
Oh dear Lord.
They sell bonds. Yeah, they sell bonds, right? Because they sell bonds and people buy the bonds and lend them the money. Yeah, so
they rehypothecate
a lot
the
of
money.
times, at least to my ear with MMT, the language and the concepts can be kind of unnecessarily confusing, but there is no question that the government prints money and then it uses that money to
I can't do.
Yeah, I guess I can't really talk. I don't get it. I don't know what they're talking about. Like, because it's like the government clearly prints money. It does it all the time, and it clearly borrows. Otherwise, we wouldn't be having this debt and deficit conversation. So, I don't think there's anything confusing there.
Okay, so
he answered the question by repeating the question repeatedly, and then try to throw that back and say, I don't understand why you're asking this question.
So just for context, like just for out of intellectual integrity, we don't have the complete context. It's just a clip. But the appalling image, I think, the appalling optic is the words, I don't get it, coming out of the mouth of the chair of the Council of Economic Advisors tasked with giving the president and the executive branch objective economic information. The words, I don't get it, should not be anywhere in that man's vocabulary when it comes to economics.
Didn't I read that his background was like music and...
Well, yes, you did, my friend. So Jared Bernstein, if you do a quick search, Wikipedia, the world's most important website on earth, Jared Bernstein is an economist who's the chair, which we already know, but look at his early life and education. So he grew up in a musical family and aspired to be a professional musician as a young person. He graduated with a bachelor's degree in music from the Manhattan School of Music, where he studied double bass with Orrin O'Brien. Throughout the 80s, Bernstein was a mainstay on the jazz scene. He also earned a Master's of Social Work from Hunter College, as well as a DSW in Social Welfare from Columbia University. Shout out to Columbia School of Social Work.
He's of Jewish descent.
At Columbia, his dissertation advisor was Erwin Garfinkel, he is of Jewish descent. But check this out. Like, he taught at Howard University, Columbia, and New York University. Areas of interest include federal, state, and international economic policies, specifically the middle class squeeze, income inequality, and mobility, trends in unemployment, and earnings, low wage markets, poverty, and international comparisons. He is known as a critic of free trade agreements such as NAFTA.
So, I mean, to his credit, he's old enough to have gone on and learned
100%.
Learned a bunch of stuff, regardless of what his collegiate degree was.
Absolutely.
But the concept of just rehypothecation of money and printing money, why are we paying taxes? Why are we printing money? Why are we lending it to ourselves? And then selling that to the American people so that they give us money and then we give them interest on that money. There's no consideration of the repercussion of that. And he's living in a fantasy world. Like all of us in this room don't get to just print money when we need more of it, right? We have to go add value to the marketplace. And that's the biggest problem that we're up against right now is the government has gotten so big directly in their relationship with the Federal Reserve that they can just print their way out of it and not actually create real value. We went through it a few podcasts ago where we were going through all the different government programs, all the money that just got pushed into the infrastructure bill. And the majority of those programs don't make money.
Correct.
And so we just need to do away with them, along with this guy's salary.
Well, send it out, fam. Send it out.
Oh, man.
Okay, so guys, you got to put that up on their pod. Look, what the perspective I come from, being a brand head is just like, at some point, the American people, and in particular, speaking to those of you who are listening who might be on the left, at some point, enough is enough. At some point, you're going to realize this is what they call it, a dog and pony show.
Yeah.
Like at some point, you're going to have to accept the truth that these people, whether it's him, whether it's press secretary Jean-Pierre, at some point, you're going to have to just say, you got to do better. You got to do better. And in fact, you've shown yourself incapable of doing better. I'm moving on.
Right.
I'm moving on because if you continue with this it doesn't end well. And so for me, being a brand and leadership guy, I'm just like, it's not a good look for you guys. And it shouldn't be. And at some point, we're just going to have to say enough is enough. And we don't even need the bag on homeboy. Is doing it for himself. He's doing it for himself, right? And they're doing it to themselves. And enough is enough, man. And the optics of this are just terrible. That the person responsible for objective economic information can't answer a question objectively about what's happening in the economy. Like,
yeah, part of that is he's never been challenged too. I think that might be the first time he's ever had to answer.
Well, you can see in his body language, right?
Those questions, yeah. And so there's a lot of distraction going on with, social issues, et cetera, so that I can sit back here and not actually have to know anything,
right?
Not actually have to solve real problems or add real value to it.
Yeah.
So it is a dog and pony show.
One of the interesting things was to watch him repeat himself. And I was like, when do I do that? If I've ever done that. That's in a moment when you haven't really thought about what you're about to say.
Yeah.
And you're thinking about it on the fly.
You're talking and thinking at the same time. Yeah.
And you're just hoping that connection, that severed, comes back by saying it again. It's like, bro, come on, man.
Well, your problem is the anxiety starts to rise in that situation. And then your intellect goes down as you get more nervous.
So, okay. So before we pivot, where can we steer our entrepreneur here in terms of just analyzing these kinds of things?
I mean, the first thing is just, vote get out and vote, right? And we got to change these actual policies. Number one, there's so many entrepreneurs that are like, I just want to make money, want to put my head in the sand. I don't want to get involved and do these things. And we have to. Entrepreneurs have been driving the country for hundreds of years. And so it's important for us to actually get out in our communities, in our schools, in our local government, in our state government. We can't necessarily control what's happening at the federal level, but we can win on a local level. And so I implore you guys to get out and actually do something about it. Use your platform that you have. You have influence, right? So stop being afraid of using your influence to make impact and change the way that people think. And it might not happen immediately, but you'll definitely plant a seed that causes them to think about what they're talking about.
Facts.